Today I'm going to teach you how to use the meta Lavaminer Skeleton King deck. If you don't have the Skeleton King, I recommend you practice this deck in classic challenges because you can use champions there even if you're not level 14. And if you're not level 14, then I'd recommend you stick to the normal Lavaloon decks. Lavaminer is not really viable without the Skeleton King right now, but if that changes, I will let you know. Let's hop into some gameplay. Alrighty, today we have our first matchup coming up with Graveyard Freeze. I hate this deck. I literally hate it. It's terrible. I don't like facing it at all. It's a hard counter to Lavaloon. It's extremely hard to beat, but you do have some options to beat it with Lavaminer. Now, Lavaminer is going to be played pretty chill. I don't want to say defensively because you can't really play defensively since you don't have a balloon, so there's no real way to get damage. What you're gonna do against pretty much every deck is try and get a counter push going. You're gonna combine counter pushes with spell bait. This deck has the flying machine, the skeleton dragons, and it doesn't have the guards or the barbs. It has the skeleton king, but he still helps out with some bait. And I'm still learning how to use the skeleton king, so there may be some interactions I'm not the best with. But here, as you could see, I'll get back to what I was saying in a minute, but here what happened was he pulled my Inferno Dragon away, which is, I guess, kind of a smart play, but that makes him low on elixir, so we just went in for the counter push knowing that there's nothing I can do right now to defend this. So we went in with the counter push and the miner as well to tank for our Skeleton King because I planned on using his ability to get us some skeletons since I knew he was going to be low on elixir. And just like that, he takes a bunch of damage, and anything played at this point would be a waste for him. So very nice situation there. We counter pushed, or not really counter pushed, but kind of split lane attack there. And I guess you could call it a counter push because I had an Inferno Dragon in that lane that I didn't spend elixir for. So really what I like with this deck, and by that time I had seen the Inferno Dragon and the Graveyard comes down, and I'm thinking Graveyard Freeze, so I put a Flying Machine just in case he freezes my tower and my skeleton so that I can use the Flying Machine and the arrows to wrap this up. But yeah, counter pushes are going to be extremely important. You can't sack an attack with this deck. You want to make sure you play a lot of defense and turn your defense into offense by slapping a lava in front of your push, or what you can do is try and open up the pocket, and if you want to tower trade, try and tower trade opposite lanes so that you can put stuff in the pocket. As you know, flying machine in the pocket's a very good play. But yeah, the pocket, having that open gives a lot more room for offense, as you can see. I think we do use the Skeleton King in the pocket here, and then we go in with the miner. The miner chip is going to be very important to win this game as well, since you're relying on defense mainly. So the miner chip is going to be your only true way of getting damage, unless of course he blocks it. Now here what happened was I just used the skeleton dragons to make sure that we wrapped up his graveyard so it doesn't do too much damage to the king tower, but also I used the skeleton dragons on defense to turn that into a push, so that by the time I played the skeleton dragons I had enough elixir to get back to a lava hound. And just like this, we have a pretty big push coming in here. He's gonna have a tough time defending. It is Graveyard Freeze though, so to be up at this point in the game is a miracle. And he goes with the E-Wiz here because he's not able to fly with, freeze the flying machine, and then we use Skeleton King in the pocket along with the flying machine that was already there to take out his E-Wizard so that my flying machine could lock onto the tower, and just like that we won. And you're gonna really want to turn defense into offense a lot of matchups because that is the only reason we won there. A plus 34 as well. Here I have a matchup versus Giant Devil Prince, and this is another match where turning defense into offense is going to be huge. You rarely with this deck like to go lava in the back. You can sometimes, but I'm not sure right off the top of my head. Lava in the back is not really a good play with this deck because you want to create counter pushes, like I said. And so a lot of the times, first play, if you don't really know what to do and you're stuck and you think Tombstone, since you only have Skelly King for ground, can be dangerous, then you can go with the flying machine first play or something, because the flying machine isn't too, important. It's not like it's a viable defense card. It's kind of just like your offense mainly. So that's kind of like going Loon on the bridge, except it's less risky. So we do go lava in the back there. And I go with the flying machine here, and the reason why I just kind of sacked that Dark Prince was because I want to kind of scout out what he has, and I know we wouldn't take too much damage, and also we turn defense into offense with the flying machine put on the right side so that it would go to the right tower instead of the left tower. And here he does use the fireball, which is unfortunate, but we do manage to take out the E-Drag as well, so it's not a complete loss. And he goes with the Prince again, so we just go with the Tombstone. Perfectly fine. It's a 3 for 5, so we're up 2. And it's not looking too great at this point in the game, but we're like, okay, now we know he's running Giant Double Prince, most likely. I mean, he's shown Giant Double Prince cards, so we're going to have to deal with the Mega Minion and E-Drag, so we should probably put our lavas in the middle. And I go with, I believe, Skeleton King here as well. Now, my plan was I wanted to kind of do this cheeky little play where we put the miner closer to the lava hound than we do the skeleton dragons, because I wanted to see if that would work and that we wouldn't have to play another card to get damage if we could just, you know, play a miner. And I think I do that here after we take this out. Maybe it's on the next push, but keep an eye out for that. We try and go with the miner on the E-Drag. And the reason, you know, I'm going kind of with the lavas, because we're not really going in with lavaloon pushes. I feel very confident with the Inferno Dragon, the Skeleton King, and the Tombstone that we're going to be able to play defense. So it's not like we just can't go lava in the back. But definitely don't go lava in the back like here when he has a bunch of stuff you need to defend. Lava in the back is not a taboo play with this deck, but you definitely usually don't want to do it unless you already know his deck and you know how you're going to be defending. And so right there, a miner pulls the Dark Prince and the Prince, which is pretty cool. We do take a lot of damage from the Prince here, but it's fine because that's not the lane he's targeting. And if he wants to go try and get the right lane, then that's perfectly fine with us because we're also going for the right lane. And so here, the Flying Machine and Mega Minion take out each other. Unfortunate. I wish it would have been that the Flying Machine stayed alive, but sadly it didn't. Here we go with the arrows and the Tombstone to make sure the Dark Prince doesn't charge onto our Tombstone. And this Tombstone position does pull the Giant from one of the farthest spots away. The Skeleton King here, he's going to tank for the Dark Prince. He's going to help take out the miner, and he also creates a good little defensive play there too that you can do with the skeleton summoning that you can also use for like a swarm unit. It's basically a Skarmy for 2 elixir. He does have to fireball there, and it's game over because the E-Drag didn't hit the Flying Machine. Even if it did, we probably would have used arrows or something, but we're still in a very winning spot because it's going to be hard for him to get damage on our towers. So very good win there with Lavaminer. But for our last match, we do have Lumberloon Freeze. Very annoying deck. I hate it. It's not fun to play at all, but you can beat it with Lavaminer. So that's a very comforting sign because Lavaloon is definitely not a good counter to Lumberloon in my opinion. It's a very hard deck to face because, you know, you just wrapped your pushes up with Lumberloon. I mean, sorry, with the Freeze, the NATO, the E-Drag, the I-Drag, and then he just uses Lumberloon on offense. It feels really polarizing to go against it, but you do have plenty of options here with offense. You have Skeleton Dragons, you have Miner, you have Flying Machine, and as you can see, early Flying Machine lock, huge for us. We get a bunch of damage. But why this deck is better against Lumberloon is because you have more defensive options for the loon, as well as you're not relying on a balloon to take the tower. So you don't have to like get that balloon to the tower or you lose. And he's much better at defending your balloon than he is a Skeleton Dragon's Flying Machine push, you know, especially when he doesn't have E-Drag. Although E-Drag in some cases is better to face since it doesn't splash. So the Lumberjack does a little damage here, but the Skeleton King, we use it the last second to wrap up the bowler because I don't want to deal with the bowler on the counter push. I know that we can deal with a Baby Dragon balloon push because of that super cool little miner thing I did there. He freezes here, but we just used the arrows, I believe. They were late. I don't know why they were late. Maybe I was distracted or something, or I got drop glitch. I'm not exactly sure, but We wrap up that push and we're still winning after this. So that was very nice. And we also used the miner there to protect the skeleton dragons, which I thought was a pretty cool play. So here we do go with the lava in the corner because he doesn't have E-drag, so we don't need to play it in the middle. And we're just planning on using the Inferno Dragon to wrap up the bowler. And then we're going to try to get some Flying Machine and Skeleton Dragon stacked up here. We got to be a little bit careful because you can't use all of your air counters on offense because then you have nothing for the balloon. He does freeze here, which is just perfectly fine. So I went in with a massive counter push here because I know that he didn't have his air counters right away. And so we just used the skeleton rings to wrap up the Inferno. The flying machine's still on the tower, and then he gets targeted to the Inferno Dragon, which is too bad, but look at all the damage we did on that left tower. That's absolutely crazy. We only need one really good lava push now to take that tower, so all we got to worry about is playing good, flawless defense. And I didn't think that flying machine was going to stay alive that long, or I would have tried to protect it. We use the miner to distract the lumberjack, and the Inferno Dragon helps wrap up the tombstone. He does tornado it though, but we are ready this time with the arrows, and he messes up his freeze. These skeleton dragons also came in to help as well. They're probably the best counter to the balloon in this deck, just because they're more reliable. And so again, we go with the Skeleton King Flying Machine Miner push, which I think is fine, because we can create sort of a tricky situation for him there. He has to use the bar barrel, but the bar barrel doesn't catch all the skeletons, so there's a good chance we get like skeleton hits or something. But just like that, you know, 300 more HP, and while the Skeleton King is on the field, our cycle is cut by one card, which makes our cycle much faster, allowing us to get more miners and arrows down, which allows us to outchip him for the win. If you did get some help with Lavaminer, let me know in the comments. Hit that like button, sub, and I'll definitely bring more content with this deck because I just maxed the Skeleton King, and it's a pretty fun deck. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you all later.